Welcome back to Voltus Bros, where today we will be talking about Ready Player One, somebody's favorite movie in the comments from the last video. This isn't the video where I'll be watching the top 3 comments. I will get there, not there yet, but we also just decided to pick another comment from this video to talk about because I honestly just wanted to watch Ready Player One. It sounded fun.
Yeah, I agree. We have both read the book before and seen the movie. I think you've seen it before, right? So we wanted to refresh ourselves on it because remember, it's a fun movie, it's a fun book, and so we decided to watch it.
Yep. And before we get into things from the book, I think we should just review the movie itself. Is it a good movie on its own? Ignoring the things from the book, because a movie should stand on its own and just entertain us. Whether it's like the book, whether it's not like the book, will the movie stand on its own?
And I can answer that right now. Yes. I think this movie is great. I'm taking away the book, just thinking about the movie. It's lots of fun. There's lots of references. It's constantly moving forward. I don't feel like there's ever a moment in the movie where it feels slow or uneventful, or there's not really a scene where I'm like, why did we just spend 5 minutes here? Everything feels like it just moves the plot forward. And it's fun. The characters are good. The cast is good. I thought they did a good job.
It's definitely a fun movie. And you did. You heard me throughout the movie watching it being like, what the heck? How does that happen? Why is it like that? But that's the thing about these movies like that, is if you just watch it to have fun, ignore the plot holes. Not even necessarily plot holes. It's just like silly things about it.
Right.
Which I think I was just being a little bit overly picky.
Are you talking about things like how did they stop from running into things or things like that? Or what kind of holes per se?
Well, I think they could have built out the dystopian world a little bit more. Like what is actually going on in this world? Because all we know is that people enter the oasis, and if they lose their money in the oasis, they basically are screwed in real life. And that's the extent that you get to it. You also know that there's this 2 big corporations, and that's all you need for a simple story to go along. But also it just leaves for things like, wait, what about law enforcement? Are they involved in this at all? Because at one point in the movie, the IOI, the evil corporation, does something where it's like, wait a second, why isn't law enforcement involved in this? And you said, it's a dystopian world. You know? But then law enforcement shows up at the end.
Right.
So it's like, what exactly is this dystopian world? Where exactly are the lines drawn? I would have liked to see more.
My thought process or theory, I guess they didn't actually explain this, but I would assume that the big speech from Parzival at the end also pumped up law enforcement.
All right.
Because everyone was suddenly willing to act against IOI at the very end of the movie. They all come as an army or whatnot. Maybe that's what happened in the real world as well. Law enforcement was like, yeah, we'll go arrest this head of this IOI company dude. That's my thought process. I don't know if that's true. They didn't explain it. They probably should have. That's just how I think about it.
Did you have fun with the references in this movie? Because for me, I think I could tell that Steven Spielberg was having fun making this movie because, he knows a lot and lots from his movies. So that's fun. And then I didn't necessarily know everything that showed up in it. Mechagodzilla is exciting. That's about the only thing where I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
The rest of it's like, okay, that's a reference. Did you have fun with the references?
Yeah, I'd say I'd have fun. I don't recognize everything. I'm sure there was a lot more that I missed. But I will say I still did appreciate the ones I did recognize. And I did appreciate, like, for example, the Shining scene, right? Made it lots of fun. And so I've seen The Shining once a long time ago. I don't remember it super well. But it was still fun to witness that scene.
And it's fun to know, like, this is where this happens.
Right.
You better watch out.
Right.
I also did get on board with the love story in the movie. At first, it started a little bit cheesy, as you heard me say, when he meets the girl. It's like, wait, why is he going for this girl? Because he first sees Artemis, and he's like, I'm gonna go for this girl. Because she's hot, basically. And then later on, you find out, they're actually really similar. And they actually are pretty compatible, and they have some good interactions. So at first I was like, I don't really believe this, but it really did end up working for me, their relationship. When they had the dance scene, when they had some conversations, I believed it.
Yeah, I'd say it was also unconvincing to me at the beginning, and it got more convincing. I wouldn't say to the same level for me as you, where I believed it, but I could be on board for it. And you talking about how they're similar and they got along because of that or whatnot, and that made you believe it. One small hole for me in this movie that made me feel like they were just trying to tell me instead of actually have a meaningful section was when Parzival was explaining things to Artemis about Holiday, explaining some memory that Holiday has, and this is how we know about this next key or whatever. I'm like, Artemis would know this. I know she would have seen this memory or whatever, but in the scene they're acting like she'd never seen it before. And that happened a couple times in a couple different ways.
And the same thing happens, she explains it to him.
Right,
sometimes.
and that's just unconvincing to me because they both go back and forth about how much they know and whatnot. And I mean, they were the first one to the keys for a reason. They know every single part about his life. And so I'd say that was one little hole for me. I wish they would have found a better way to approach that.
Yeah, what do you think the better way would be in this situation? Because at the beginning, there was a voiceover of him explaining the world. And then there's a lot of those scenes where he just has to explain to the audience. Or even when Mechagodzilla comes on, someone has to say, Mechagodzilla! So, in a fun movie like this, what is the better way to go about it when there is so many references and you want the audience to be on board?
Yeah, I don't know the exact way to go about it. I think just don't go about it talking to some character that you know should already know it, right? There can be either a different side character. You could use the memories guy that happens to be the co-founder. You could even use like H, because H doesn't seem like he knows a lot about it. Just following Parzival and helping, but just don't use Artemis.
That is a good point. They didn't really have their everyman character, which H could have easily been that character.
Right. Could have easily been, I don't know what it is. Yeah. He didn't know The Shining. Right.
Yeah. And in the last video on this channel, I talked about Inception, and they have that character in Inception. So in Inception, they have Ariadne, who's there not knowing much about the dreams. So it's very easy for someone to explain it to her, and it makes it natural for us in the audience.
Right.
And while someone's explaining it to us, there's also a scene going on. Instead of just explain, it's explain really quick while this exciting thing happens.
Right, exactly.
So that's how that works in Inception. So yeah, they didn't really have an everyman in Ready Player One as naturally.
And they could have, too. I feel like it wouldn't have been too hard to just implement H or some other character, even Sho or Daito. The other characters even didn't have that big of a role.
All right, should we move on?
Let's move on to the book. It's been a while since I've read the book. I think you too. My memory's not perfect on it. I may say some things that are wrong, but I still have a few things I want to mention. The one thing I do remember is the keys in the book are a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
I don't even remember exactly what they were or what the quests were, but I do remember the first one. Because he's on like the school planet or something, and it's in like this cave or something. I forget exactly, but it was way better. Yeah, the keys in the book, way better.
Yeah. They're making the movie towards a general audience. They're trying to basically please everyone. The author was just trying to please himself. Like, even in the books, I knew less references reading that book than I did watching the movie. But I don't care. I know that this is a reference, and I know that the character in the book cares about this.
Right.
So it was really cool to be able to be in his mind.
Yeah, the references don't make the movie.
Correct.
Right? They're just a side part. They make it interesting, they make it fun, but they don't make it good.
They make the character good. And the world is also fleshed out way more because they're going to school in the Oasis. I feel like there's a lot more gravity to some of the scenes in the book because at the start, the first couple chapters, you're like, okay, this is fun. This is a cool story. It's people chasing each other in video games. But then something happens in real life where his real family member dies because of the situation. And you're like, this is a real story.
Right.
And it really starts to kick in.
Yeah.
And they tried to do that with the movie. The movie's just a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah, right. Like you said, it's probably trying to reach a wider, more general audience that doesn't need the heaviness of the book.
Because there's also some pretty heavy scenes in the book where he gets depressed for a long time.
Yeah.
over a
Right.
year that he can't find a clue. He has real relationship issues with Artemis, and the book really centers around their relationship.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a much bigger part.
Yeah. And there's really some really cute conversations of texts between them, which are super fun to read. And even though he cares so much about getting the clue, he really just cares so much about Artemis in the end, which is, after finishing the book, I was like, wow, this is such a beautiful love story.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that. So,
Right. Because in the book, I think Artemis goes to the IOI or whatever, gets stuck there, and then he puts himself in there, right? In the real world, he goes to her, right? Am I misremembering?
I can't remember exactly.
I'm pretty
I just
sure
know
he
that they have-
physically goes there and infiltrates the place. Something.
That's
their
dope.
clue. But I need to read it again. Maybe we'll make another one on the book.
Yeah, that's so cool. But he doesn't meet Artemis until the very end.
Right.
And so it really culminates to that moment.
Right.
Them meeting and actually being together. And it's such a beautiful story. I also really love just being in his head in the book. And the same thing happens in Hunger Games. When you watch the first Hunger Games, the only reason the first Hunger Games isn't as good as the book is because you get to be in her head.
Right.
And the exact same events happen in Hunger Games movie and book. It's like literally almost exactly the same. But being in her head in the games, just being in her character is so much different. And I'm not always that way with books. I do believe that some movies are better. But in these cases, it's just really awesome to be in their head. For example, one time he's just playing Pac-Man by himself. He finds a random Pac-Man in the holiday
That's
world.
where he gets the extra life.
And that's where he gets the extra life. He's just like, maybe this is the clue. Maybe this is the clue. And all he gets is like a little coin. He's like, all right, great.
Yeah.
And then that's what turns out to be his extra life. And yeah, it's just really cool.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Talking about this makes me want to read the book again. I think I will. I remember loving it. And the movie is really good. I think separate the book and the movie. Don't really compare them because the movie can stand on its own for a big audience that wants to have fun. And the book as well can do the same thing with a smaller audience, bigger impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. That's what movies try to do. Some are blockbusters. That's why sometimes they just can't hit the exact mark. It's because they're just trying to reach everyone, which is a hard thing to do. That's a beautiful thing about a book is that it's one person writing it because they wanted to. You know? So
Well, that's all my thoughts on the book and the movie. Do you have any others, Jarom?
that's what I got.
Okay. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Book, movie, which is better? What things in the movie are missing that should have come from the book? Other way around. Let us know.
Yeah, and make sure to subscribe to the channel because next week I will be releasing a video where I responded watching movies that people commented in the last video. And I still want to know your comments, suggestions. I am interested in what you guys have watched, have liked.
So as always,
Let's bolt.